Set 5 Pass is back. Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode we are back with Enneacraft, which is a new archetype centered around utilizing the Pendulum monsters to set 5 monsters as opposed to setting 5 spells and or traps. It's very similar to that of other control style decks. It plays most similarly to that of like Odeon or I guess that's mostly it, right? But as you can see, we are also playing a few cards in here that are not exactly the most fun. We are playing things like Fissure as well as Fiend, and the reason for these is they're very good and very easy to access in this archetype. So let's go over the card by card and the explanation. Starting off with the Enneacraft level 1s. All of them have the same effect, where in the Pendulum scale, they can reveal 3 Enneacraft cards and then add 1 randomly to the hand, giving you the ability to basically search out all of the other ones, which is fantastic. So we're playing 3 apiece of each of those, except for this one, because I'm poor, and instead we're playing the additional Release. To be fair, Release isn't that great of a card in the deck. It's fine, like it's not bad, but you can get away with running less of this. And so, for the most part, I'm running 3 apiece of each of the level 1s, except for this one, which banishes a card from the hand when it's flipped face up, which is fine. It's a fine effect, but I am instead playing 2 of these and the 1 Release. That's pretty much it. All of the big monsters, all of them also have flip effects where they do additional things depending on if the opponent does a thing. For example, this one destroys a monster on flip. However, it will flip itself face up if the opponent were to activate a monster effect in the hand. That's it. All of them have some sort of effect of that nature. Then we have the big guys, which are all level 9 monsters. All of them also have pen scales of 0, so you can't actually pendulum summon utilizing this archetype by itself. So there's that. However, all of them also have, all of the big guys also have an effect that allows them to flip up, kind of in response to an opponent's activation or interaction, right? So Leon, we're playing 2 of, we're playing 2 Pixia, and we're playing 2 Mar, as well as 1 Spia and 3 Arca. Now, all of these are important, but Leon allows you to, if the opponent interacts with you, flips itself face up and then bounces 3 cards. We have Pixia, which prevents targeting. If the opponent were to target you, you can flip it up to negate the effect and banish a card from the hand. And on top of that, it prevents targeting for the rest of that, or while it's flipped face up. Mar allows you to insulate your plays because you can set it, and then if the opponent does something on your turn, you can flip it up and negate the effect, and then destroy the card. And if it's flipped, it books everything, or all the opponent's monsters. Arca, the reason we're playing 3 of this is because it is the one we want most particularly, because it protects our cards. All spells and Enneacraft monsters, or I think it's all just monsters in general. When your opponent activates a card effect that would destroy a card in the field, you can flip it face up. There you go. That's what it is. So, you just flip it up, negate the effect that would destroy, and prevent the destruction. Then we have Spia. We're only playing 1 of this because it only comes up occasionally, but you can negate the chain. So if the opponent gets to chain link 3, you can flip it up and negate all of the opponent's cards specifically within that chain. So you can even respond to an opponent's card with 1 of your own, and then flip Spia as a way to negate the rest of that chain. So, you know, let's say, for example, the opponent activates something in response to your card, you can flip up a Leon. If they activate something in response to Leon, you could then flip up the Spia and negate all of their cards. It's okay, it's not fantastic, and it only comes up occasionally, but it is pretty nice. So, there's that. The rest of the cards that we have here are Rebirth, which shuffles back cards in order to draw that same number of cards shuffled back. So any of your Enneacraft monsters, you can also shuffle them from the field, which allows you to get the pendulums out of the pendulum zones to potentially search out more cards, and then drawing additional cards there. We have 2 Reset, which just places the field spell face up, and we have the 1 field spell. Again, we're playing 3 of this, basically, so that we have 3 targets to search out. And that's pretty much it. However, the Reset also allows you to grab it from grave. This is pretty important because you can remove counters, which all of them technically get counters if you flip a card. You can remove the counters during the end phase in order to burn the opponent, and you can also bounce your monsters from the actually just any Pendulum monsters, you can just bounce it back to your hand. And then on top of that, if an Enneacraft monster is flipped face up, you can either bounce it back to your hand or place it into the Pend zone. So it's okay, but it's mostly used for that first effect to burn as a way to either FTK or, actually, sorry, I'm lying to you. It's actually mostly used for the return effect. But you can use it to, like, FTK the opponent. There are some FTKs that you can do because it's a Pendulum deck. Of course, you can FTK. But on top of that, it also is used as a way to kind of deal a little bit more burn damage to get to that inevitable win. So that's that. That's pretty much it for the deck as far as the non-engine goes. We're playing a lot of engine, and for the most part, there's not a lot of decks that can effectively play into the established engine, right? Like, the mechanics of the way that the Pendulum monsters work means that, for the most part, it's difficult for players to have effective use against it, right? But occasionally they can, right? For example, DDD High Wave King Caesar or Wave High King Caesar, being able to negate and destroy the monster is really highly detrimental for this deck, because all of the monsters have an effect where they can reveal and then special summon a guy from your hand in face down defense position. So the idea is you would reveal one monster over and over and over again and set all of your other monsters after having searched out and kind of gone through those motions. So that's kind of the idea. But yeah, it also means that you kind of have to see a critical mass of these guys as well, both for the searching and for the actual, like, setting. You just want to see a lot of them. However, because you can also, through your combo, draw a whole bunch of cards, we can play less of the payoffs, basically. So we are playing a few non-engine, that being Vanity's Fiend. We have Shifter and Maxi, obviously, because we're a Shifter deck. We're also playing a 3 Fissure, and then we're playing a 2 Sol and Luna, which basically just switches the positions of 2 monsters on the field. A monster your opponent controls and a monster you control. You can put them face down, or you can flip them face up. So basically, you can target one of your opponent's cards, book it, and flip one of yours face up, or you could even flip both cards face down or both cards face up. So it's pretty interesting. And that's pretty much the deck. The extra deck doesn't really matter. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alrighty, here we are going first, and for the most part, this deck is pretty bad going second, so yeah, that's all you need to know. We're going to start off here with one of our level 1s, and we're going to reveal 3 different cards here. We're going to go for the reset field spell, so that we can bounce our additional monsters. We're also going to go for the Rebirth here as our second search, and out comes the Reset. Reset is going to grab the Neopolis and bounce the 2 monsters back to the hand. We're going to go again for the last of our level 1s here. So we're going to reveal 3 different guys here this time. We ended up grabbing Spia, but we're going to basically shuffle back the entire hand here, because I don't actually want the Spia and the 2 monsters on the field. Accidentally activated the effect of our this guy, which does trigger the Izuna, so oops. But that's okay, we drew the Maxi, so we can just kind of force them to do nothing here. Cool. We're going to reveal 3 again. We're going to grab the Leo. We're going to then special summon a whole bunch of cards here, revealing the same guy over and over and over again. So, cool. Basically, what we have here is target protection. We have interaction protection, more or less, as well as, well, nothing off of that guy, because they went for the Dogoran, just randomly going into one of them. But we do have the ability to, if the opponent attempts to activate an effect that would set a card, we can destroy a spell trap. And if they activate an effect on the field, in the hand, not that. If a card would special summon a guy, we can flip this guy face up and search a guy. Now, this one is going to also negate the effects of an effect monster the opponent controls, so we're going to do that. We're also going to go for the Rebirth here, which will be met by the Holy Sue, which will then allow us to trigger the Leo here. So, let's see what we can accomplish. We're going to go for the Leo, which is a non-target bounce as well, which is something to keep in mind. So they're going to special summon the Xiaolong, which I'm swiftly going to just put right back into their hand, not wanting to deal with it in the slightest. So yeah, away goes all of their monsters. Out comes the Kaiser here, which is funny, but negated as well at the end of the phase. Now we do have to flip up the Pixia, which does prevent targeting, so there's that. But we do actually get to book with our other effect here with the Reset. Reset if it's in the grave, if the opponent does a thing, can actually book cards. Now, notably, all of our monsters are actually non-once per turn for their flip effects. So we actually get to search again and get an additional guy here, which now allows us to negate the yokel. On top of that, I can actually attempt to bounce this guy back to our hand, which is actually going to resolve. So that's pretty cool. And the reason I do this is because of Ripper's effect here, which is going to activate its effect, which does have the effect to set a card, which now allows me to go for my Trito. I don't know. It's this guy. Which allows us to add a card and then set a card off of its flip effect. So we can destroy a spell trap the opponent controls, which is going to allow us to put the card face down. I don't know what card effect I activated in hand. Couldn't tell you. I actually have no idea. But apparently Ripper triggered. I don't know what I activated in grave or in hand. Anyway, they're gonna go for the lantern here. They're gonna summon a guy. I guess. Oh no. This is just if I've activated the thing, right? Yeah. Then if your opponent activated a monster effect this turn, that's what it is. Right. Okay. They're gonna go for the Nash Knight here and yoink up one of my guys. They go for the Dogoran as opposed to something else, which is kind of interesting. I also do recognize that I actually messed up here. I should have special summoned the Tail or the Arca as opposed to the Mar, and my thought process was, oh, maybe they'll, like, attack into it, and I'll be able to book everything. But realistically, this would be way more important because they, well, you're going to see here, they're going to go for the Chaos Nash Knight, which then goes into the Umbral Horror, and they can just deal with my field spell. I only have the one field spell in deck, and I only have one more name in the reset to be able to potentially reset it, right? So it's not exactly a guarantee that I can get back that field spell. So at this point, it's kind of just hope and pray that I can get access to it. Otherwise, I'm kind of cooked. We are going to go for the search here. I'm kind of running low on life points, but that's okay. We're going to flip up the Leon in response to their activation of their card, and they're going to flip up, or they're going to activate the Umbral Horror, which of course is met by Mar. So kind of cutting them off of that, and we get to bounce the field here, which is kind of funny. So we're going to bounce. I'm also going to bounce on my own guy as well, so that he can go back into the hand. And since they added a card to their hand, they do get burned by Leo, which does have that text as well. We're going to search out a few more cards. Attempting, both times I did end up revealing the reset. Neither time I got it, so kind of sucks. But yeah, we did kind of want to do it. They're going to go for their canines here, which is fine because we're going to go for Pixia, which is great. They then go for the Ripper. Cool, I'm just going to set everything here. And then I'm going to shuffle away a whole bunch of cards here, hoping and praying that we see the reset, and we don't. Well, that sucks. I do get to go for the Vanity's Fiend, which is bigger than the Ripper naturally, so there's that. We did end up seeing another name, and we're just going to search out an additional card and then set the Soul and Luna. They're going to go for the Ripper here. Sure. Out comes the Noir. They're going to then Tribute Summon, which is funny because we do have the Soul and Luna. So we're going to book them as well. And again, if I see the field spell, I win the game. We do have the Reveth, so that's pretty much what we are going for here. I mean, we put them under the Vanity's Fiend lock here as well, and we can actually just walk with the field, dealing almost so close to lethal, 200 off. So we're going to shuffle back a whole bunch of cards, and if a single card goes to the grave now, off of the effect of Tail, we should kill him, or if we find the field spell, boom, reset. We're going to grab back that field spell, activate the fissure, and at that point, we just pass the turn and they die. So they scoop it up. Good game. Whew. Man, Vanquish Soul Cannon, so cool. Alrighty, here we are once again going first, and oof, not a great hand. Let's see what we can accomplish with this. I mean, we did just see the Max C, so maybe we can do something. But first and foremost, we are going to go for the field spell, and we're going to set the Leo, and then activate the Leo in the Pendulum Zone, and to set the Soul and Luna. Basically, we are hoping and praying that Maxi and Soul and Luna gets us there. They special summon a Kashtira, so we're immediately going to book that, and flip our guy face up. They're going to go for the Tier Cash here, and be met by Maxi. Surprisingly, that resolves. They're going to mill themselves, and they mill their own Maxi, which is kind of funny, and then just pass the turn. I'm going to burn them for 9. There's not a whole lot that I can do there, but okay, we draw Revereth. So that's okay. We're gonna just attack over and then activate the Reverith. I'm gonna shuffle back 2 of our monsters and... Okay, we do kind of have, like, a reset here with the Reverith. So, I bounce back my monster, set the 2 cards, and pass the turn, hoping and praying that that's enough. And, of course, they do have the Theosis. So, they're going to go for the Fenris, they're going to go for the Shangri-Ira, and special summon that out with the Rise Heart. They're going to activate the effect of the Rise Heart, and go into... they're going to special summon out the Fenris now off. Out comes a Rise Heart, and as soon as that hits the field, we're going to activate the Grave effect of a Reverith, which allows us to change a face-down monster to face up. So I'm going to flip up the Spia, which is going to trigger the Rise Heart, and cool, I respond with the Neopolis. If they do anything here in response, which they do, lucky me, if they do anything in response, we get to go for our Leo, which is fantastic. They're going to activate the Imperm there, which forces the Leo. We're going to bounce the field and kind of put them on nothing, right? They can go for the Fenris here and banish, and maybe we can do something with that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I draw a second reset, which is not good. So, okay, I'll attempt to cycle a card. I draw Pixia, which, I mean, it's technically better because we get to get the card out of their hand and force them to basically do nothing, but yeah, we're gonna bounce the Pixia back and set it, pass the turn, I guess. You know, not a whole lot that I can do. There's a ton of cards here that get them out of this. They're gonna grab the Rise Heart, they're gonna go for the Rise Heart, they're gonna activate its effect, they are going to banish, they're gonna activate the effect again in order to grab back the Ogre because they banished a Theosis, so now they have the Ogre. They're gonna attempt once again to activate the Fenris, which is just going to eat a card out of their hand again, so sure. Anyway, they're going to go for the Dragon of Annihilation and realize that they can't target my field. This card's very good, but it's very frustrating because it just blanket prevents targeting both field and grave, which is kind of ridiculous, and I don't like it. Yeah, that's it. Just while it's on the field, just can't do a thing. Anyway, we did draw a level 1, fantastic, and then I activate the effect of the level 1 instead of scaling it. Frick! It's fine. It's fine. We can still make this work. But I should have basically been able to win the game there off of this guy, because you just chain them together, especially with the field spell. You chain them together. All of them grab another guy, and you search out your entire hand, and then you grab Revereth, which technically speaking wasn't guaranteed, but like that's what you do, and then you draw a whole bunch of cards, and then boom, from there you're off to the races. So I could have done that, and I didn't, and now I feel stupid. So there's that. I'm just going to set a whole bunch of cards and pass the turn. We still have Pixia. We still have this one, which pops a guy. We have this one, which could pop a spell trap. So, I don't know. It's not the worst. We pop a called by, which is funny. So, they didn't draw the called by when we had the maxi. So there's that. But, alas, we should be pretty good here. They're going to activate their trap card. I draw Fissure. That's a card that does something, right? I'm actually just going to immediately scale this so that I don't make the same mistake of, instead of scaling it, I would activate it. So there's that. I'm just gonna go for the 2 and Revereth is what I keep revealing because I have a whole bunch of them that are banished now. So I'm gonna reveal 2 guys and Revereth every time, and hopefully we draw into the Revereth. They're gonna Ash. Can't really do anything about that. Tragic. We're gonna just flip a guy face up and attack, and then we're gonna scale again because this card doesn't really do anything. It banishes when it flips face up, it banishes, and if the opponent activates a card or effect that adds a card, it would flip itself face up and add in an Enneacraft card, which, like, theoretically is pretty good, but its flip effect is pretty bad. So I just elected to scale it instead because it would give us the ability to potentially OTK, right, if they did have anything, but alas, they didn't, and that's the game. Good game. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is kind of boring. The thing is, it's not really a control deck. Like, that sounds crazy, right? But it's not really a control deck. It's not really what I'm looking for when it comes to control, right? Because most of what it actually ends up doing is doing this big, long, convoluted combo that searches a whole bunch of cards and goes through these big lines to find big haymakers. Things like Dimensional Fissure, things like Vanity's Fiend. And while technically speaking, you don't have to do that, that's not realistically its main game plan, it still is very heavily reliant on doing this big combo of searching out a whole bunch of cards and then drawing a whole bunch of cards to see pretty much just all of your interaction, right? All of your things to kind of shut off the opponent's interactions or plays or whatever it may be, right? And for the most part, it is still a interesting concept, and I like the way that some of the mechanics work, but I am frustrated with the burn aspect of it. I think it's really silly. I think just take away... I don't mind taking damage. I think that's fine. Maybe a little too much damage taken each turn, but I don't know why it needs to burn. Why does the deck need to burn? Yes, you can FTK with this. There are a bunch of different ways that you can do it. It's not exactly a difficult task, but it's also frustrating because, generally speaking, there's not really a need to have the additional burn damage when all of your guys are massive and have the ability to flip themselves face up and to do additional things. I like the burn damage on like some of the other effects, right? Both Tail and Leon have the ability to basically punish the opponent for searching or for sending cards to the graveyard. So I like that. And then you have things like Spia or Mar or Pixia that have additional effects as well. Pixia protecting from targeting, Spia preventing the opponent from chaining to themselves, right? Which is kind of interesting. And then Mar having the ability to book everything. Like, these are already additional points of interaction that I don't think it's necessary to have the ability to just randomly FTK. It didn't really come up that I even won via burn damage most of the time. Obviously, the one game that you saw, that was my win condition, but that's rare. It's not always my win condition. Oftentimes it's Vanity's Fiend or Dimensional Fissure and kind of just slapping down a haymaker and winning the game. Again, technically speaking, you don't need to play these cards. Technically speaking, you can get away with a bunch of other different strategies with this. But realistically, the same game plan applies. Search out a whole bunch of cards, draw a whole bunch of cards off of Rebirth, activate some sort of haymaker. Something big and powerful, or searching a bunch of different smaller pieces of interaction. It's okay, but it's not quite what I want in a control deck. It feels very similar to that of Odeon, or the Apophis cards, right? Except for instead of specifically just activating a negate, you are instead just kind of responding to something the opponent does, right? Bouncing cards, or negating the chain, or preventing destruction, or targeting, or something of that nature. It's a little bit more interesting than Odeon, but not a lot, and I think it kind of falls... I don't know, for me it's mostly just boring, right? It wasn't a fun experience to play it. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It worked, but I also don't think it's as worth it to invest into, just because it is a little bit more boring. If you really want to play something like this, and play like this style of game plan, I think Odeon is better still. But also, if you want to play something that's more fun, something like Lab or Paleo is just more fun. That's it. Again, not bad. It works. Obviously, you can play, you know, tech cards to beat the current metagame, right? Things like Cool Tune and Branded just kind of die to Shifter or Fissure. So, there's that. But, yeah. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.